The Nintendo Switch's online service has more details. Totem takes a walk on the wild side in The Wolf Among Us and gets bloody in Resident Evil 7. Rob gets rebirthed in Gameindustri and helps Neptune regain her memory in Hyper Dimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. It's Groundhog's Day, and I hope I don't have to repeat myself anymore in episode 21 of...
The Pile of Shame.
Geeks of all kinds, we know that struggle, that overwhelming pile of content to still finish. Conquer that pile and don't quit. Today is February 2nd, 2017, Groundhog's Day. My name is Rob, and I am your host for the support group. I go by Chai T out there in the gamer world, and with me tonight to help encourage you to keep up the fight against that growing pile are my co-hosts. Welcoming back first, Pete. Did you beat a game this time? Are you bringing anything to the table?
I bought a couple of games, though. Isn't that's helpful, right?
Yeah.
I'm winning the fight. I'm winning the fight if that means buying more games than I can possibly ever beat.
Can we just play like the Abe Simpson gif of him just walking into the door and leaving? Because I feel like that's the effect.
Jeez. And that lovely voice is Totem. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Always good to be here. And I have some more games to review since I've been kind of busy. Yeah.
Right, I assume you've beaten enough to cover for Pete now.
For the second straight show.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't even here the last one.
I mean, you didn't need to be here because I knew you weren't going to beat anything. So
as it turns out, oh man, this is like Pete gets burned. The podcast.
Well, this is the pile of shame. We're shaming you. This is the whole
fantastic.
damn purpose of this, right?
Oh yeah, it's true. Thanks.
All right. Well, let's figure out what is keeping you from playing these games in delay of game. All right, Pete. What is keeping you from playing these games, man?
Yeah. Well, hi, my name's Pete. I was in Maryland last weekend and week.
Do you have a pink hat on? Is that what's going on?
No, but it was. Oh my gosh, it was quite the experience. I found out the day before that I was leaving town for work, and I didn't think about it, but that was like right before the inauguration, and yeah, I was at the airport getting on the plane, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? There's all kinds of people wearing these strange hats, and everybody's talking about a march, and then TSA came through and did like baggage searches on everybody who was already at the at the terminal, like waiting to get on the plane. So yeah, and then I got to Maryland, and I'm like, oh. That's what's going on.
That's what's happening. Okay.
I didn't get to participate, but I saw a lot of people did.
Right. Oh man! So that was it was a big crowd, right? Bigger. We're not going to do that. All right.
Anyway, it was work travel was not as much fun as playing games, but
right.
Yeah, well, I'm back now, so I can not play games here.
Yeah, so I did finish one game, but it's like, yeah, the stuff keeping me from other games is work, obviously, but also I've been building a new tool for when I do Shadowrun GMing. So I built that up in JavaScript and got that published today for the Shadowrun Anarchy system that I'm doing now. And so that was fun. That was keeping me quite busy at building that, bug testing, and make sure everything was working fine.
Bugging. Well, you got to make sure there are bugs.
Yes. Yeah. I introduced several of those. Don't you worry.
Well, as the GM, you're like obligated to do things to piss people off, right?
Well, what's funny is the major bug I had in there actually would have been really good for my players because I made it so my dice were only rolling a 1 through 5 instead of 1 through 6. And those who play Shadowrun knows that you get hits on 5 or 6. And so I was only having, I went from a 33% chance to get a success to a 20% chance to get a success.
Cool.
And so I'm just like, I'm tossing out these rolls. I'm like, man, I'm getting like crap luck with this thing. Like, what's going on? And I debug it out and actually parse out the roll. And I'm like, oh, no 6s at all. I should probably change that.
Well, it's good you caught it.
Yeah, so I just went ahead and made it go up to 8 just so I could counteract that.
Working as intended.
Right. Yeah, so I'll actually be doing that playing that this Sunday with my group, so I'll be jamming and hopefully murdering them all. So do that instead of the big game. So
Well, as it turns out, you don't even have to try. I mean, when we played with you, I think we did a pretty good job of it.
only one of you died.
Well, that's true. Was that after? That was after they left too, wasn't it?
Well, no, it's when they. Oh yeah, after Ted left. Yeah, we killed Ted without him actually being there. It was great. He decided to go rappelling out of a window with a flamethrower when there was a ton of people like down there shooting at us. So he just like slides out into a barrage of bullets, dies and falls down, and his gas tank explodes and takes out like half of the group down there.
But I mean, on the plus side, he was like our canary. We knew that was not a good idea.
Right.
After that, so thank you, Ted, for saving us all.
Oh God, I love tabletop. It's fun. Totem, what is keeping you, man?
Really not a whole lot, as you guys know, because I've been streaming pretty much every night, except, one night. Granted, I missed like 2 days, but that really hasn't slowed down my gaming sessions at all. Obviously,
imagine how many more games you would have beat if you had been there those 2 days.
Yeah, if I wasn't spending time with my family and it was actually gaming instead.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, geez, what was I thinking?
Why not both? Come on.
Yeah, obviously, there's the usual detractors, like work, Overwatch, Eternal, and my sleep's kind of been a little bit screwy lately, and hopefully that'll get adjusted. But all in all, though, things have been pretty good, and I'm keeping up in terms of like pace with achieving that 2017 gaming goal that I set for myself. So
you're doing well.
Goodness. So are you staying up late, or are you? What's the sleep schedule been like?
Well, I work at 6 o'clock in the morning, pretty much 5-6 days a week, and there are days where I go to bed at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and
Wow.
And then I can't fall back asleep after work.
You youngins, man.
Jeez.
I would not be able to handle that.
Yeah, not anymore, man. That was my 20s. Not anymore.
Welcome to middle age. No, wait.
All right, well let's figure out what Totem actually beat in conquering the pile. All right, Mr. Totem, let's keep with tradition and let you take the reins.
Well, this week I do not have 3 games, so hopefully I don't run out of breath this
I'll
week.
take one. I'll get one for you this time. I got it covered.
All
right, well, good, because that was a bit of a chore to get through. I almost had a loss of words. I was talking so much. All right. Well, first up, I finished my playthrough of The Wolf Among Us, which is another Telltale game. So, kind of continuing my trend of playing through the different Telltale series. And this is an adaptation of the Fables universe, which is a comic. So that's been brought to the video game format for the first time. And it places you in the shoes of Bigby Wolf, who is the big bad wolf. And he is the sheriff of Fabletown. And he's basically trying to keep the peace in a city that's plagued with corruption and past grudges. And basically, all the characters in the game are fairy tale characters, and they all live in what is basically New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some of them that are being forced out of their homes. And you also have these things called the glamours, which they expect everyone to get because they basically help them blend in with the humans that live in the city. So they can appear as a human, so, they don't raise suspicion from the other people that live there. And of course, if you can't afford it, or if you choose just not to buy them, they will send you away to the farm, where you live separately from all the other fairy tale characters.
That's kind of awesome.
Wow, this is like
didn't know
trippy.
about that.
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer right now, and our listeners are seeing it too, and it's just like, wow, yeah, trippy.
Yes.
So as I mentioned, like it's based on Fables, which is a comic, which I had like no prior like knowledge of, so I didn't really know what to expect from that. I didn't know if I needed to know the source material, but as I mentioned, since it does revolve a lot with the fairy tale type characters, you pretty much know who they are as a person just off of their pre-existing character already. So it really enables you to be able to pick up the game and absorb it without having to read the comic, which is always great.
Yeah, that's good.
So it definitely helped me feel more involved into the story because of that. And, you know, this is a Telltale game, so if you've played any of the others, you pretty much know exactly how the gameplay is going to work. If not, if for some reason you haven't played any Telltale games, I know there's some people that still haven't, basically, this is a point-and-click adventure game that is more of an interactive story that you craft as you go along. And the dialogue is extremely important in the game, and your ability to select choices helps guide where the story moves forward. And it can change based on what you say. And the same can be said for the gameplay. And what I found is one of the biggest strengths of the game is that it embraces that darker and grittier side of the fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed you to experience like a more adult subject matter with these tales and apply them in a universe in a way that was pretty believable.
Yeah, it reminds me very much of have you seen the TV show Grimm?
Yes.
Yeah, reminds me quite a bit of that, actually.
Yeah, they have like a heavy use of like neon lighting, which kind of like acts as like a moonlighting. So it kind of helps bring that grittiness of the New York City to life there. So all in all, like I thoroughly enjoyed this game, but the climax of the game is definitely something that could divide an audience, because it's one of those endings that led on to like a lot of discussions between myself and some of the other people that I've talked to that have played it, because it's one of those endings that can like really make it or break it for you in terms of like how you're going to perceive how you view this game. I mean, personally, I loved it, and not only did it like make me question how I had gone about making my decisions throughout the game, but it also made for a pretty lively discussion based on how they ended it, because it kind of like left it open, but it basically went full circle where it brings you back to the very first, like one of the first scenes of the game that leads off to like this giant like murder mystery hunt that you were on throughout. Huh. But like there's so much to talk about in terms of the end, and I don't want to do like heavy spoilers or anything, but you guys will know if you play it.
No, now this is in my library now. After watching the video and hearing the synopsis, I'm actually pretty excited to try it.
Yeah, I need to. I'll probably go to this right after I finish my next game.
Nice.
Are you,
so yeah,
are you going to go back and replay it? I mean, was it worth, based on what you've seen the first playthrough, is it worth a second trip?
I might at some point, just to, you know, make some other choices. But like, if you guys are looking for like a more like adult-themed game that's narratively driven, this is definitely one you guys don't want to skip. And I gave this a perfect 5 severed glamour heads out of 5. And when you play the game, you'll know what I mean by that, because
right.
You know, heads are rolling.
Oh my goodness! Nice.
Rolling. No, all right.
You gonna pick up any of the comics now as well? Is it like a whole universe, or is it?
See, I'm not exactly sure. I know like they did a follow-up as a comic after the game, but I'm not sure if like it ties directly into the game, or if it's something just like completely different as more of, like a continuation. So I don't know. Might be one to check out.
Oh, that's cool. That's I always enjoy reading comics, so I should. Curious about that now too.
Oh man, it's just selling stuff left and right here.
I know, right? Yeah, more for the pile.
More for the pile. All right. All right. Well, I will talk next about Hyper Dimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. God, that's always a mouthful.
Semicolon.
Yes.
You didn't even pause.
Semicolon birth 1. Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, all I knew going into this is probably going to be weird with a title like that. I knew it was like anime looking, and so I just gave it a shot, and I really just didn't know what I was getting into. I'm not even sure when I picked this up or how I got it, but I streamed the first hour or so of the game and got got maybe an hour in, and got quite a few raised eyebrows in the Twitch chat and on Twitter. The game is a parody JRPG, and all of the main protagonists are typical anime trope women. So there's a lot of different body types represented and personalities, and all those body types are partially covered.
May include partial nudity?
Yes. One viewer had some very awkward questions from their wife, let's say. So the gameplay has pretty familiar elements to any RPG with action-oriented combat that you've seen before. But it's still kind of turn-based. Movement modifiers, range, attack spread, they all play an important part. So let's go over kind of the pros of the system. There's the combat system, I think is pretty fun. It's not overly complex, but it's still intriguing enough for you to pay attention to. The characters all act differently. What was weird about the combat is most of the fights you don't really have too much problem with. And then all of a sudden you'll just hit this brick wall, and you'll be like, then you have to go like, okay, which element should I be using? Which, thing like that. Like you hit these robots, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I need to switch all my stuff over to lightning attacks. But most of the time it doesn't matter. So makes you think about it, but I wish elements would play a little bit more. Like there's all these elemental attacks you can do. So I wish they just kind of mattered more and had better effects. But let's see. Also, another pro, the character types. I liked all the characters. It did the typical game sin of, the main character has amnesia, so time to learn all their stuff over again. The trope gets so used all the time. It's really annoying.
At least she didn't lose her Varia suit. I don't know.
Right. The humor is very tongue-in-cheek. It's you are a goddess reigning over the land of Gameindustri, and there are 4 CPUs, console patron units, and they are, and you have like the EXE drive.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and you are taking part in the console wars. So, I enjoyed the little tongue-in-cheek. It was fun. And then they break the fourth wall all the time. So, like, Neptune knows that she's the main character in the game. And so...
And so, I mean, did they do it in a way that, I guess, I don't know, it seems like there's good ways to do that, and then sometimes you just sort of pander and it doesn't come off very well.
No, I think when they did it, it was done well. Like, people would stop paying attention. They're just like, hold on, I'm the main character of the game. Why is this character getting to do this? What the hell? So...
All right.
The whole rebirth part of this is it allows you to kind of remake dungeons and remake stuff with modifiers, extra bosses, extra difficult monsters, things like that. And if, like most JRPGs, you have a new game plus that you can then pick back up and keep going with your same level. So
the rebirth thing, can you choose what attributes you're trying to get in the new dungeons?
Yeah, basically you get memory sticks that you can then increase your available memory to then make modifications to the game. And so you can only make so many modifications before you run out of memory. And so that's how that was kind of interesting, but didn't play too much into it. Now, if this was your only game, you could get a lot of replay value out of it because it goes up to like level 999 with the DLC, and I hit level 90 on the first playthrough. So,
all right. Well, you've got another 10 more of those to go.
Right. So there are a ton of ways to replay it. It didn't hold me enough to keep me going. I hit the main story and I was done. Though that last boss, man, that last boss was rough. Like I got myself set up on Sunday night, and I'm like, okay, I just have to walk over this bridge and I'm to the next boss, and I'm good to go, and I'll do that on Monday. And then I get home on Monday, I'm like, all right, I'm going to spend an hour doing this, and 3 hours later, I'm still getting my butt handed to me. So that was fun.
Did you have to go power level or what?
didn't have to power level. Like, I got a couple levels just doing stuff, but I went and hunted for some more powerful weapons and made some modifications to my party and the commands that I got. As you can build, each character has a set number of combo points, and you can build. There are 3 types of attacks. You have fast attacks called rush attacks that are used for building up your EXE drive, which is essentially a limit break from Final Fantasy VII, except for you build like 4 levels of it, and some limit breaks will use 2 or 3 of those, but most of them use 1. So you can build up and then do a power hit if you need to finish something off quickly, or you can do a bunch of characters doing 1s, and it's a shared limit break, a shared EXE drive, instead of each individual character having one.
Oh, okay.
There's also power attacks and also guard breaks, because each NPC and you have a guard meter that you'll take less damage when you're guarding, but once you do enough damage to that, it will break and you take full damage. So you can play around, like you can have certain characters that will switch in, do a lot of rush attacks to get your EXE drive, and then you'll switch back out. You have like a back line and a front line. You switch back to your front line to hit the powerful EXE drive attacks. So there's some strategy you can do to it. It's just most of the time it doesn't matter, but that last fight, it mattered a lot. So
Okay.
I had to like really think about what type of attacks I want to set up and how to go about doing that. So that was fun. I just wish there were more fights like that where it really mattered, and they were more consistent instead of like, oh, I'm going along fine, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden hit the wall and dead. And I may have sworn the F like a couple times during this game when I would just be going along fine in a dungeon or two and just forget to save because I'm going along fine, and then I hit a boss and the boss just annihilates me, and I'm like, oh shh. That may have happened once or twice. So one of the big cons I had in this is it carries over certain JRPG elements I wish they wouldn't, such as, oh, in Chapter 4, if you don't talk to such and such, you don't get this item. Without this item, in later chapters, you cannot go and open up this dungeon, which then allows you to get the plans to open up this dungeon, and then that dungeon, which drops the item you need to get your ultimate weapon. And so I get...
needs the ultimate weapon.
Right. So I get back to I get near the end of the game. I'm like, all right, well, let's figure out how to get this ultimate weapon. I look up on the web, and they're like, oh yeah, just go to this dungeon. I'm like, oh, I can't get to that dungeon. How do I get to that dungeon? I have the plan to add enemies to that dungeon, but not add the dungeon itself. All right, let's look up how to do that. Okay, I go to this dungeon. Okay, I need to open up that dungeon too. So let's go back and okay, you need to talk to so and so in Chapter 4. Okay. Well, crap. And then that happens so many times. I was like, okay, well, there's this really cool ring that lets you break the 9999 limit, so your attack can do higher than that. And I was like, oh, that'd be really nice. And I go, it's like, oh, same dungeon. Great. And they're like, well, you get on your second playthrough. I'm like, don't you fucking help me now.
Well, remember, you got 10 more playthroughs to go.
Right.
So.
You'll get there.
Other downside is that the dungeons are all kind of reused. Like, there's a ton of dungeons in the game, but like half of them are just reskins or rehashes of existing dungeons. So they were kind of lazy on that. Overall, I put about 37 hours into this game, which was way more than I thought.
Almost a full work week.
Right.
Hyper Dimension Neptunia.
Whew. I pulled that up and I was like, oh, dang, no wonder I didn't beat any other games. Going, jeez. So overall, the score, I will give this 3.5 Nepinepus. So it's not bad. It's no Life is Strange, but it's no Papers, Please either.
Okay.
Did they give you the option to rebirth to have even less clothing?
Well, there are swimsuit plans you can pick up, but they require items out of those weird dungeons, so I wasn't able to see exactly how little clothing was to come of that. So
swimsuit plans. How much planning does it really take?
There's a lot of plans. Like, you won't get an item drop for you. You'll get an item plan. And then you pull up the plan, and then it tells you need these items. You look at those items. It doesn't tell you where the item comes from, or which dungeon it's in, which chapter it's in. It's like they expect you to have a Wikipedia guide at all times, or just randomly kill stuff and hope you get it.
Game facts.
Yeah, exactly. I had to hit a game facts because there was a couple times where it's like, oh, I need this one item, and I look it up and it says, oh, it's in this dungeon. I look in this dungeon, I can't find it anywhere. And I looked, and because I had the item change plan turn on for that dungeon, or the tougher enemies plan turn on for the dungeon, that particular monster that drops that item wasn't there. Oh. So I had to go toggle that off and go back in. It's this. Overall, not a terrible game. Could be better.
You just sound more and more exasperated the more you talk about it, though.
Yeah. There were definitely tricky elements that I was not a fan of in that game. So that's why it dropped a 1.5 Nepu Nepus. All right. Well, let's go from pretty anime girls to whatever Totem has in store next.
Yeah, we go from anime girls to deranged hillbillies and possessed girlfriends that have been presumed dead for 3 years.
That seems like a logical transition.
In Resident Evil 7. Okay, so ever since the Resident Evil franchise kind of strayed away from the path around Resident Evil 4, fans have been really begging Capcom to return to the game's roots. And, Resident Evil 6 was pretty awful, and it kind of hit a snag when it attempted to combine some different elements between, like, the survival aspect of it and the shooter mechanics that they brought into that one. So, going into Resident Evil 7, it meant, like, really any follow-up had the unfortunate follow-through after Resident Evil 6, so there were some pretty high expectations going into this one. Well, I'm happy to say... I know, it was getting to be a tired franchise, but not anymore. So, Resident Evil 7 is a swift return to form that the fans have been pretty much clamoring for, and they'll definitely appreciate it. There's enough blood, guts, and gore to go around. Yeah. You have your classic Resident Evil puzzles sprinkled throughout the game, and there's enough connections to the previous titles in the franchise to stir up new questions and put some old ones to rest. So you take the role as Ethan Winters, pretty much an average dude, average Joe, who's led on an investigation to figure out exactly what happened to his wife, Mia, after she sends you this mysterious tape after being missing for 3 years, and you presume that she's dead.
Yes. Oh my.
Yes,
it's
so...
it's a little different from Resident Evil 6. Yeah.
So in this tape, she invites you to come pick her up in this plot of land in, like, the Louisiana Bayou. Nothing creepy about that.
Nope, nothing unusual.
Nope. And while on the trail, you pretty much find yourself face-to-face with this insane and outwardly repugnant baker family, and, they babble about making you a member of their family and wanting to bestow upon you the gift.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah. So, the family themselves are definitely not to be taken lightly, as they relentlessly pursue you throughout your stay at their lovely abode. And you can scramble to, try to make an escape. But, they're not really worried, because, you can scurry around the house all you want, but, they pretty much have everything locked down tight, so you're really not going anywhere. So, a lot of this is kind of cat and mouse, because they do have some parts where you do have to hide. So it kind of does have, like, that Outlast type vibe to it. You can, of course, shoot your way through all the enemies. You can try to avoid them as much as you can. So, there's some flexibility in terms of how you want to approach the combat in the game. But it's good to know, like, they kind of, like, change up, like, the perspective of it, because it's no longer, like, that over-the-shoulder, like, third-person view. It's pretty much all first-person in this one, which is always nice to see. So you don't have, like, some of those awkward camera angles that you would get with the third person.
And it's pretty creepy being in that first person perspective. I was a little skeptical myself to start with, but yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if there's one thing that needs to be said above anything else, it's that the atmosphere and the game is absolutely horrifying. Like, I have not been so unnerved by a game in quite some time, and you know, I am a huge like scary movie junkie, and it was even for me, like there were moments, especially during like some of the more claustrophobic scenes, because you know you are kind of like scurrying your way underneath like the house in a basement or like behind walls, and there's like next to no room. So yeah, being a claustrophobic person, that was definitely making me grit my teeth at times.
Yeah, just watching the trailer to that just made me go, nope, not for me. Nope, I'll pass.
Yeah, so
Good.
you're basically on a constant lookout for someone to literally just reach out and grab you, or even steal a limb or two from you, which can happen.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely RE7 provided one of the more intense playing experiences lately in a game that I played. And just talking about like stuff that is returning to the roots of the game. So item management is back. So you'll need to be careful about what you carry with you at all times, because the last thing you want to do is to be unable to pick up an important story item and then have to double back to clear up inventory space.
You can't just like dump stuff on the ground?
Nope.
Oh.
You can offload extra items in the save rooms where you'll find cassette players, you know, which are basically like the typewriters in the old Resident Evil games. And then you can also find like an inventory trunk there, and then that's where you can swap out things that you don't need to carry if you want to like free up space there.
Seems silly. You can't just like, oh, well, there's this really important thing. I've got this like pair of socks that I don't need, and I can't just drop them on the ground. That's weird.
You're not gonna want to get rid of those socks.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think there's any time. I mean, I haven't beat it yet, but you never want to get rid of anything. It's important.
Yep. And you do have limited storage space, but you can pick up backpacks later on in the game to help expand the amount of inventory you can carry. And it really isn't like an overwhelming amount of ammo throughout the game, but there's enough to get you by. And you can also
Unless
craft
you're
more too.
really terrible with your aim.
Oh yeah, right.
Yes.
Oh, and I don't know about you, but I was so. As far as expanding the storage goes, it feels like they must meet it out at like right about when you feel like you start needing it. At least I got to the first expansion for my inventory, and I'm like, just when I was getting to the point where I could not carry everything I needed, and I don't know if it continues along that track, but it feels pretty good so far.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, going into the boss battles, you usually see, like, a plethora of ammo, like, right before, too.
Yes, yeah, you always know. It's like, oh, herbs? What's going on?
Yep. Alright, so all in all, this was one of the best ways to kind of breathe new life into the franchise that's been kind of, you know, mistreated recently with with Resident Evil 6, and to an extent 5.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're itching for like a truer, more classic take on Resident Evil, then you're going to feel right at home playing this. Resident Evil 7 offers one of the most unnerving game experience that you can have, especially if you played in VR, which I haven't. But, like IOC, I've watched streams of people playing it, and it's already unnerving enough without VR. I can only imagine what it's like playing in VR.
So not only do you get to see the vomit on the screen, but then when you take off your headset, you get to see all your vomit everywhere else. So it's going to be great.
Just like real life.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So don't let the past installment of Resident Evil kind of like deter you and shy you away from picking this up, because Resident Evil is definitely back in a big way, and I gave it. This is like a first. Like I give it another perfect score. 5
Wow.
biohazards out of 5.
Oh my god.
Two
Both
of them.
games.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, and since we're still talking about Resident Evil, I've actually began a second playthrough already.
Oh, wow.
Because you do get to unlock some pretty sweet item.
Nice. So
When you
I'm
beat
really
the game.
looking forward to. Like, I have not beat it yet, but it's been fantastic so far. It's creepy. It's challenging. Actually, the boss fights kind of drove me a little bit nuts sometimes, but.
Yeah, the one that drove me up the wall was when you're facing Daddy and you are using the chainsaw.
That was the one. Took me
That-
4 times or something.
I can't tell you how many times it took me to do that one, but that one drove me at the wall. And then there was also the scene with the cop when you're in the garage. And
Yes, that
okay,
also.
okay,
Oh my
so
God.
I did this absolutely 100% wrong, because what happens is he basically gets a shovel to the face, he dies, and then you have to fight Daddy, and there's a car in there, and you could easily grab the car keys and run Daddy over multiple times. And what did I do? I kept trying to stall. Daddy grabs the keys, gets in the car, and then I have to end up knifing him like 800 times to kill
Oh,
him.
that's how. Oh, so yeah, okay. I fell into the same trap, but I ran out of ammo, and yeah, I think it took me 3 or 4 times, and then I was just running around picking up items, and then I picked something up. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I was playing with Chris, my friend, and he's like, that said keys. It was like, oh, really? All right. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah, it was-
a bit frustrating.
It was just one of those moments where I'm like, I feel like an idiot. Like, I made that so much harder on myself. And yeah.
It was challenging, but in spite of that, I'm really enjoying it so far. It sounds like you liked it. So yeah, highly recommended.
Well, now it is time for Pete to talk a little bit about the stuff that he added to his pile and can't stop, won't stop. Oh, Pete. Yeah,
Burns.
go right ahead. Go right ahead. What did you add?
Well, I was out of town, so I didn't have a computer all the time. I couldn't buy games constantly, so I only got 2. Sorry. I got one called Homesick, which looks like it's a first-person. I don't know if it's creepy or not. It looks kind of creepy. I don't know if it's going to actually be creepy, but we'll see how it turns out. And then my other quality purchase for this period is, yeah, you know what's coming. It's called
God.
Panty Party.
What the hell?
Yeah, I know. You're probably thinking, oh God, it's
Guilty
gonna be
pleasure.
yeah.
Except for there's from what I saw, there's hardly any nudity. It's just all panties.
It's
Yeah,
exactly
it's not a Sakura game.
Yeah.
It's actually it's like a third-person brawler, except you're a pair of panties. Is what it looks
And
like.
finding other panties.
Yes. I saw this. I'm like, what the hell?
It's like
is
Goat
this?
Simulator, but with panties.
I guess. I don't know. I blacked out, and then it was in my Steam library. So, it just I can't wait to try that one out. But
Oh, jeez.
yeah.
All right.
Looking
Well,
forward.
Totem, what did you pick? I can't.
All right, well,
What
I
more appropriate games did you buy?
I finally got around to subscribing for the Humble monthly, so I got XCOM 2 for this month,
Oh, nice.
and I also picked up The Silent Age, which is a mobile game that's been out for quite some time. I got a PC port that's pretty story-driven, point-and-click type base game, so
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, the only game I picked up is a free-to-play one, another Pokemon mobile game. So I didn't even know it was coming out, but Pokemon Duel.
I played a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's it's kind of a board game, strategy board game with Pokemon stuff. So I've put a little bit of time into it, not a whole lot, but yeah, it's worth picking up. It's free, so
For the price.
all right.
It's
Good,
worth
good for the
It's worth
price.
noting, though, for that game, the first time you load it takes freaking forever.
Yeah, it's like 4 gigs to download. It was ridiculous.
For a mobile thing?
Yeah, for a mobile game, it was like 4 gigs.
Oh, and speaking of mobile, didn't the new Fire Emblem game come out on mobile?
I have no idea. I didn't pay attention to that one.
Is there another new one? I don't know. This is sad.
I don't know. Well, speaking of Nintendo stuff, let's do a follow-up on the Nintendo Switch. So we mentioned last time we talked about the Switch, and there's been some more details that have come out regarding the online component. In Japan, it's roughly equivalent to about $25 to $30 US for the yearly service. So they haven't announced US details yet, as far as I'm aware, but it's estimated to be between $20 to $30 US per year. What you will get with that is similar to the Xbox Live and PS Plus. You will need it to do certain matchmaking and voice chat over the system. However, it seems they're doing something a little weird for the voice chat, you have to have a mobile app on your phone that will handle the voice chat and multiplayer matchmaking functionality.
Skype.
Yeah. Yeah. Install Skype or Discord, and that's your voice chat, you ungrateful bastards. The speculation is because like the headphone jack is on the portable unit part, but that's docked at home, so...
Nah, it's just because people are already using Discord anyway, so they didn't put any effort into it.
That's true.
There you go, yes.
But the other part, and we mentioned this the last time, but where it's more confirmed now, that the monthly free game that you would get with like Xbox Live or PS Plus is really crappy. So it will unlock one or more virtual console games from previous generations, and you get to play that for the month, and then it's gone. And then you go on to the next month, and it's a new one. So if the game that pulls up is crap for you, congratulations, you wasted part of your $30.
Well, but you see, this also gets around putting it on the pile, because if you never bought it...
That's true. Yeah, it's you're not adding games to your pile every month. So, though I guess if you beat it, you can technically add it and remove it from your pile at the same time.
Maybe you can beat more games than you actually own. Oh.
Or you can just ignore it and beat, like, as you said, the games you already have.
Or you can save $30 a month, $30 a year, and buy something worthwhile.
Oh.
But I mean, I have to say, like, the price point that they put on here was a lot better than I was expecting. So I'm glad it's not like $60 a year.
Yeah,
like
if it was 60,
was
60 a year, then there would have been uproar. No chance would I buy that.
Although it could still be, right? I mean, they haven't...
That's true. They haven't announced it. It's like, yeah, $30 equivalent in Japan, but $60 for you Westerners. Get out of here.
Yeah, maybe if they give you like 2 games a month.
You can play the same game twice.
Right. Jeez. All right, well, let's figure out what's on sale on, but it's on sale.
Shut up and take my money.
All right, Fry. Let's see. The Humble Bundle is out. The new one is the Humble Bandai Namco Entertainment Bundle 2, available for the next 11 days. So
They've done this before.
They've done this before. Humble Bundle 2, the Electric Blue or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So a pack. Apparently, you can pay anything you want and get Pac-Man 256.
He just pulled it up. I'm like,
what the crap?
Pac-Man. Guys.
Pac-Man 256. What even is that?
Is that only on there because the creator died?
Maybe. I don't know. You can also pick up Ace Combat Assault Horizon Enhanced Edition and Enslaved Odyssey to the West Premium Edition.
That's supposed to be good, actually. Yeah.
And if you pay more than the average, which currently is $9.13, you can pick up Warhammer 40K Eternal Crusade, Project Cars, and Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 Full Burst.
That's more words than Hyper Dimension Neptunia.
Yeah, Rebirth. Yeah, it's actually 3 more words. That's true.
Yeah, he didn't stumble through that one.
Yeah. Shush. All right, and if you pay more than $15, you can unlock Tales of Zestiria, and Project Cars On Demand Pack includes 12 pieces of DLC.
Project Cars isn't worth it.
You can assemble them together into one piece of functional content.
And then, the $35 tier. I have not seen that in a while. You can get Little Nightmares pre-order.
Oh, that's actually a game I'm interested in. All right.
There might be a deal for you. More to add to the pile, Pete.
Yeah, good news. Guess what I'm doing after the show so I don't have to talk about it during the show.
Oh, man.
Also, I did notice on Steam they've got Deus Ex, like the franchise, is on sale. So the new one is $18 right now.
Oh, wow.
For Mankind.
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier. I was debating pulling the trigger on it, but I have not.
Yeah, I would probably suggest that. I haven't played it yet, but the first one, was it Human Evolution? That one was really good. So it's worth picking up, I'd say.
Yeah, right now it has mixed reviews on Steam.
Oh yeah, for Mankind Divided, yeah. but the whole franchise, the whole franchise is on sale, so you can get Human Revolution is a whopping $4.99.
Not bad. Does that include like the really old ass Deus Ex game?
Yeah, that's on there as well. That
Sweet.
will run you $1.74.
That was a pretty cool game too.
Back in the day.
Yep. All right, well, let's figure out what's coming up next. Coming attraction. All right, so Pete, what are you going to be finishing up, hopefully?
Well, hopefully, Resident Evil 7.
All right, so we can get 2 reviews of Resident Evil 7 in a row.
That would be fantastic. But it's, I am playing through it, and it's good. After that, I'm going to have to knock out something short, because I got to start carrying my weight here, man. So,
Inside.
yes.
3 hours, bro. You got this.
Oh, I guess that's true. I do think I have that. But I Lost Planet 3, I've been saying for a while, because I'm like close to the end, but I have not beat it. But on the other hand, I realized also the game Neo comes out on February 7th.
Oh, boy.
And that might be bad for me. We'll see. Of course, it could be perfect, because I'll get super angry at it and then not play it for 3 years. We'll see.
All right, Totem, what are you going to be up to?
All right, so right now I'm in the middle of Life is Strange.
Bastard, you heartless
Okay.
bastard.
So, flashback, I haven't played this since March. Okay, so I'll set you the scene. Girl gets, like, hazed at school. They released, like, this video of her at a party, macking out with a bunch of dudes, and she was, like, drugged and everything. And then just the video goes viral, and she's all depressed and shit. And, you know, I have the option of answering a phone call, because, you know, I know she's going through some stuff. And I chose not to answer the phone call, and she ends up jumping off of the campus roof. And I can't save her. So she dies.
Harsh.
Fast forward. Yeah, the other night, in episode 3, we are breaking into this RV of a drug dealer, and of course he has a dog because, you know, why not? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have the choice of throwing the dog a bone, either in the parking lot, which I don't know, like, how close of a distance it would be, or throwing it towards the street.
Oh, no.
And, yeah.
God damn,
I chose the option of throwing it farther, thinking, you know, I'll have more time to, like, you know, scurry around in the RV to find whatever I needed from the RV, and the dog kind of got ran over.
You realize you can reverse time, right?
That's not the point. The point is, I am going to continue the trend of this game making me feel like a bigger asshole.
You're just gonna be that guy for the entire
She's gonna kill
Yes,
everybody you
I'm
can.
going to kill everyone. And just wait until I get to Until Dawn. No one is going to be safe.
Oh my god.
So I'm on episode 4, so I got that in episode 5. So I'll probably finish Life is Strange either tonight or on Saturday during stream. And then after that, I plan on jumping into Ori and the Blind Forest.
Lots
And
of
then
jumping in
I'll-
that. Yep.
I'll probably jump into Alien Isolation after that, which I've already played a little bit of, but I'm not that far in, so that's
Also,
what's next.
Seems good.
Yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest is a solid game. You should have fun with that. It's pretty on the stream, so it's a good streaming game. Let's see. I will be playing Dragon Age Origins. Twitter has decided that for me. So, little tip in your Steam library, if you're trying to figure out what to play, you can apparently sort your library, I did not know this, by Metacritic score. So not every game has the Metacritic score on there, but those that do, you can sort by them. So I found out I have 5 games on my list that are above 90% Metacritic. And so I put 4 of those up on Twitter. And the one that was decided narrowly was Dragon Age Origins. So I started playing that again, and apparently OBS really does not like to pick that up. So I won't be able to stream it, unfortunately. But I will play it. I'm playing now as a elvish rogue / archer. So the first time I started playing through this back on the 360, I was playing as a mage. And so I'm already getting a different story than I did on the mage. So I think I only got a few hours into it before, so that'll be fun.
Yeah,
That just makes me question what the Metacritic is for Panty Party.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't have it on there.
Oh, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete and I were comparing Metacritic scores, and he does have the lowest one.
I'm the winner. I have the most of the lowest.
Yeah.
Okay,
I had a
now
40.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I had a 45, and he had two 44s and a 45.
Yeah. That's,
So what was the low one?
For me, it was Agorist War Generations or something like that.
Oh, my lowest is the Scourge Project, episode 1 and 2, but at 45, just 1 point higher, is Aliens Colonial Marines. So,
Wow, there's a worse game than the Colonial Marines.
apparently so. I'm skeptical myself. We'll see.
You're gonna have to drink your way through that one too, then.
Probably so. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know you were like, can I sort the store by it so I can buy the absolute worst game?
That is, I did actually say that. I was trying to sort the story.
I don't think it lets you do that, thankfully for everybody.
But if anyone knows, please tell me how to do that, because I need to.
All right. Well, if you would like to game with us, you can find links to all of our different gaming profiles and more in the show notes of each episode at poshame.com. You can also check out our YouTube at youtube.poshame.com, where we have the show episodes, as well as some of our archived streams and game playthroughs. So for me, you can follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. So we'll go over the Twitters a little bit later, but I am at _ChaiT on there. And Totem, what's up?
Alright, well, I've been streaming pretty much nightly every night, except on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so feel free to stop by, chat, watch as I look to conquer my pile of shame.
All right, and Pete.
God, I hope I start playing some games soon. That's really all I have to say.
All right, for those of you that were looking forward to watching or listening to us talk about Ajin Season 2, I failed miserably in finishing that series, so
Spoilers.
yeah. So next time, hopefully. All right, to get in contact with the show, email us at show@poshame.com. And Pete, how can everyone best reach us?
As usual, you can follow us on Twitter if you dare. Rob is at _ChaiT. I am at Fighting Viper. Totem is at Totemly Drunk CTR. And then the show is at POShame.
Yeah, I actually saw you tweeting a couple times.
I have put some out. I've twitted.
You have twitted very well. All right. All right, guys, conquer the pile and don't quit. We'll be back in a couple weeks with more content to add to the pile. Until then, don't get smothered by your pile of shame.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love the 20.